Yeah. Sound check, sound check.
I think we're back. Thanks for bearing with us, guys. Had a little technical issues right out of the gate there, a little audio not coming through the computer right away, so we just had to reset everything. But thanks, welcome to part 3 of our live Educate series. Today we're going to be specifically focusing on everything you need to know about videography and the GNARBOX. So we'll talk about a couple different cams. We'll be demoing primarily GoPro footage today. Hero 5 I think is what we have, and a little Mavic footage. So definitely our primary use cases for GNARBOX. We'll be going through video editing. We'll be going through transcoding, some of the little tips and tricks that we've learned along the way. But let's get going. Right out of the gate, Tim, let's jump in. We got transcoding and culling files. Right. So for video users, it's gonna be a little different than your photo users. Obviously, longer, bigger files. What does it mean for you if you're using GNARBOX with video files?
All right, so I've actually got a pretty specific workflow for reviewing, culling, transcoding, all of these things, and it makes everything very smooth. So today I'm going to share a little bit of that with you. The whole idea is to understand what the GNARBOX does for you in the background so that you can waste less time looking at the app when things aren't ready for you and show up to really everything prepped and ready to go for editing. So in my hand I have an SD card. Just as with any other type of file, your workflow with the GNARBOX starts by plugging in the SD card. We've actually already done the first step today, but I'm going to walk you through that before we get started on everything else. What I like to do personally is import the video files directly off the SD card into the GNARBOX. And what's going to happen after that is if they're a DJI video, if they're a video from an SLR, they're going to start transcoding. And the great thing about that is that the box does something in the background that gets you prepped, and you don't have to worry about waiting if you do it a certain way. So you copy your files in. As soon as the files finish copying, you'll see that on the task manager, eject your card. You don't actually have to take it out. You can keep it safe and waterproof behind the door. Just eject it when the copy's done. Now, the box is going to transcode just those files, the ones that you imported. Typically, it's not a ton, and the box can do it at about real time, depending on the frame rate of the video, and when you show up, your app will look something like mine does today, and you'll be able to edit just like this. So let's get the app pulled up.
That is an incredibly good trick. I didn't even know that. So that makes a ton of sense. Otherwise, you'd be transcoding stuff on your card, maybe not what you primarily want. So part of that culling step, selecting what I want to put on the GNARBOX, that's what I want to edit. If you're not here to back up, you're here to make quick edits, you're on the go, you want to just grab a couple of video files from your shoot while you're on the run or from what you just saw that day, like just grabbing exactly what you want and copying those to the GNARBOX, ejecting your card, you're in the best shape now to do a quicker edit, to get to those files and transcode them in an optimized fashion. There's a couple other tricks though. If you're definitely just loaded one on, you're gonna probably tap into a card and a file, and that could also prioritize that video that you want to edit and see and play back. That one will go to the top of the list of your transcoding, prepping it for playback.
That's right. So if you want your videos on demand and you need them now, that's the best way to do it. Although sometimes you have to wait for chunks to load in, and it's not the fastest experience when it's that way. So you have a trade-off, you have a choice. If you need it right away, that's how you do it. But if you can wait a few minutes, like I usually can, I load my camera into my box and I drive somewhere, or I'm on the move to the next place and I just actually let the box transcode while I'm on the way. If you do things like this, it can really speed you up. So now that I got the app pulled up, I've got some footage from a ski day that Will and I did in the Mammoth backcountry. I guess it was a few weeks ago. Oh, wow, over a month ago. So you can see the dates here, January 20th. One of the files I've messed with since, and it's got a date of 2/10, because that's the last time I opened it. But loaded it back on my box so that I could share this with you guys today. What we're going to be doing first is picking the files that we want. Just like with photos, the culling process can make things a lot quicker for you. So I'm going to do a preview and swipe-based workflow. you can see here, I already got some shakiness at the beginning of this shot, and this is, yeah, the drone was acting weird, remember? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Forget that one. This one, I'm scrubbing through. See how I'm scrubbing through? Oh, this is the one where I got you skiing. Okay, good. So I'm gonna favorite that. Yeah, as you guys know, I can also swipe up to favorite and advance. This one's another throw. This one's another throw. This stuff is good in here. Okay, I definitely like this shot, swipe up. This one as well, and this one as well. And I don't, oh, well, actually this one's good too. Okay, so I'm gonna keep just those. No, the ones that were earlier, I don't like those as much. Yeah. All right, so just basically reviewing these and making sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, now I'm back to all the GoPro stuff. So I can pick a few GoPro shots and add those as favorites. I'm gonna jump right into it using the thumbnails because I know which ones I like. It's this one here where I have some good skiing in it. That's my music. I've got this one here where I went on my first run, and I've got one that's kind of cool because I'm filming Will with the gimbal, and I have, oh no, I like that one too, but that's not it. It's this one. Cool. All right, so I've got everything worked out into my favorites that I want to use, and that's always the first step for me personally. Although some people can start trimming straight out.
I think that the benefit, and you've probably seen this as a theme in all of our videos, of creating that favoriting as your first step of kind of previewing and playing through your files, is it allows you to keep all of the files from your shoot copied onto your GNARBOX while actually creating more of like a select bin, so to speak, where you now have this focused workspace where you can bounce back and forth between videos in a really quick fashion to work through your video with just the stuff you want. It's kind of a way of doing your selection throws. That's kind of what how we use favorites, and it creates that new workspace. So,
Footy Phil, what is the easiest way to trim a video for just the shot you want? Okay, that's a great question. And that's actually the next thing that I'm going to start looking at. So let's just do a basic trim. This video here up at the top is actually a great example for it, because all I really want out of this is one clip. So I'm on the preview screen. This is a GoPro video. You guys probably have noticed the GoPro videos play back very fast on the GNARBOX. We have some great proxy workflow options with GoPro videos that make it really, really quick. So I'll go into the edit screen. As you guys can see, I've been messing with this. If I just want to make a clip of this Footy Phil, all I'm going to do is designate the endpoint with my left marker, and I'm scrubbing to the point where I'm going to drop. Okay, so I start skiing there, so I leave it there. Now, if I want to make a more accurate mark, there are a couple of ways to do that as well, because this might be what you're struggling with. There's a trick called magic marker that you can use, and anytime when you're watching your video, whether it's paused, like now, or playing, right, like this, I can actually, I'm going to double tap to go back to the beginning. I can actually pause a video, advance the frame by swiping. I'm just swiping one at a time here. And then if I swipe down on the video frame, that creates this yellow marker. Now the yellow marker snaps onto a point, and I can actually put, just by tapping this left side, tap it right to that frame. And that's the best way to get a good frame accurate trim, if that's what you're interested in. Now I can also do it kind of the brute force way here, which is just go scrub to the place where I'm done skiing, and now I can press export, and then I can export that to the GNARBOX or the camera roll. So if all you're looking to do is trim, in this case, this is the best way to do it.
Yeah, it'd be good to know if you are trimming to create a highlight reel, or if you're trimming to save to the GNARBOX, or if you're trimming to save to your camera roll, to either just directly share or to import into another video editor, which is a workflow that we'll get into later. To answer even on trimming, even for scrubbing, the button that we're actually touching there are the trim bars themselves on the bottom bar. Those trim bars I find personally to be a better way to get a scrub experience while moving along a timeline. So I recommend using the scrub bar, the trim bar for a finer scrubbing, but the normal dragging along the line, it works great. And is good to kind of jump between places on the videos. Yeah, so using the round white there, also really good. Also some other finer points of that trimming experience.
Yeah, absolutely. The frame accurate stuff is something a lot of people don't know about. And the magic marker, which gives you, if you have big thumbs, if you have a long video, it makes it really easy to do. Now, we've made the clips easy to audition as well. So we have our trim bars centered around this section of the video that we like. If I double tap on the frame, it goes back to the first frame of my trim sequence here. So just that 32.9 seconds. I can watch it play. And there are also good color correction options that we're going to get to in a bit. But for now, we got to stay on the script a little bit and talk about how we can start to work with our footage once we have it into the selects bin. So let's go back to this favorite screen here. So what you do next is going to depend on what your objective is. And we're going to talk about 3 different end objectives. Actually, one of them we just took care of, which was just getting a clip that you could share to social media. So you set your trim points, maybe you color correct a little bit, again, more on that later. Press export, send it to your camera roll. That's how you're going to do that. But there are a lot of people that are looking to do things that are a little bit more complicated than that, and I'm going to give you 2 potential options. So one is creating an Instagram story from a video that you've shot in high res on your GNARBOX. That's going to be one thing that we show. And then the other is going to be actually putting together a sequence with your highlight reel to create a multi-clip sequence with music that you can post on Instagram. Now, I know that Will also uses the Instagram story stuff a lot with his cameras, so this is near and dear to both of us. What we recommend first is actually setting the bitrate of the exports on your GNARBOX. So you can see right now on my settings page, I've got mine at 65. I must have been exporting 4K video because that's a really high bitrate. And do you want to talk a little bit about bitrate and Instagram stories?
Yeah, so bitrate's definitely an interesting one, especially depending on what you're shooting on and where you want to share it. So I know we covered it a little bit in our first video, but to reiterate, the bitrate will actually create the total data and information in your video export package. So if you're going to be applying a higher bitrate, depending on how long that video, the total file size is actually going to be greater. So it's just literally bits per second, right? So we're going to be, if you want to do 65, which is what we're on right now, that's the highest that we offer. And for GNARBOX, I recommend that for maybe final posting or looking to re-edit something maybe in a future editor, moving it across different workspaces or editing environments. I'd keep it at that level. Otherwise, I often keep it at high. If I'm doing Instagram stories, I'm definitely going to try and target between mid or low, so that 30, what's the lowest one?
Do you want to go 30 or 10?
30 or 10 in that range. It really depends on how long. If you're shooting a 15-second video, you might have to do 10. Because what happens when you upload to that environment, whether it's the Instagram stories or the posts, if it'll compress it more. So if you have too much data, it's going to give you more compression on their side. You'd rather have the compression come on our side of things. So just kind of scale your bitrate down depending on if you're posting from mobile to Facebook or Instagram stories. You're going to want to drop each of those a little bit lower. Those are our recommendations and kind of best practices.
So we've got it at 10.
10's,
we're at 10 today.
10's good.
Okay, so I've got this Mavic video of Will hiking. And really what I'm going to do here is we're going to put together a few different clips and photos that we're going to use as our Instagram stories. And then we're going to put together a little highlight reel. And we're going to, usually what I'll do is I'll take some moments from my day, put them on my Instagram story, and then upload a highlight reel to Instagram. So that's my use case. People use Facebook, all kinds of different social networks. These tricks are relevant to you regardless of what network you're really using. So take it as you wish. And if you have questions about how it applies to you, we will answer them as they come up. So first clip. I'm using the bar to scrub, and I think I like this shot because the drone is kind of just taking off, and Will's coming by, and then it reveals the peak that we're going to.
Yep.
So I kind of,
and you're doing,
I like that right there.
You're doing exactly what I would do as well. Yeah. And sometimes even when I see it playing, especially fast action, if it's playing through, I might just swipe down and drop that marker and just keep watching through to see what happens after that. And that's almost like as I'm previewing. Sometimes it's my first view, right? I'm like, oh, that was the spot. And what I'll do is I can, that gives me that point where then if you're swiping down and play, like, go ahead and do it. I think it's actually cool to watch if you're back on the trim bar. If you're back on the trim bar, so if you hit play and it's playing through, say this was your first time pass, I'll just drop that marker as we're flying through, and then I'll tap it. I'll tap an in or out point, and that'll make it really easy for me to just re-rack and jump back. This is particularly good if you're shooting long videos, right?
Yeah.
So if you're shooting drone videos, you're putting up for a 10-minute flight. First of all, I don't recommend it on GNARBOX. I've learned shooting shorter clips just makes a mobile editing environment easier, whether it's GNARBOX or LumaFusion or iMovie. I just think using smaller clips in a mobile drag experience rather than a really frame accurate jump experience that you could get from a desktop, you're just going to have a better experience in all of these.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. Try to keep the clips short. Everything is easier in post-production for sure. All right, so I got this clip. It's a little bit dark. I shot it log. The color is a little bit blue. All of this can be fixed fairly easily. So we're going to go to our midpoint, and I'm going to brighten the grays a bit. And I'm actually going to split the color channels, which is something we talked about. This is really useful for drone footage, I found, actually, when the white balance is a little bit off. So in any event, I'm going to move the blue just a bit to the left. Okay, I like it there. Oops, I just reset it. Here, let's pull it back in.
There you go. I mean, blues were definitely, it was a tough day for the blues. So, I mean, this is like the bread and butter of GNARBOX versus any other mobile editing experience. All the files are here. They've been transcoded. This is like probably shot 30 to 60 minutes of footage that day.
Yeah, and it's all this is 2.7K Mavic Pro footage, so it's all pretty high res. I'm gonna warm it up a little bit, and then we're ready to go. What do you think?
Yeah, that's good enough for now.
Okay, so that's good enough for now. I like it. I'm at 10 megabits on my bitrate, so I'm actually gonna just take this clip and I'm gonna throw it into my camera roll. And I'm gonna keep moving on my editing. I'm not gonna go to my camera roll yet. We're gonna save that for later.
Yeah, so
we're gonna
fire it off the transfer.
Yeah, exactly. Now it's coming to my phone. Save. Yeah, okay, that's done. That was actually pretty quick. Now I'm looking for a second shot, and I kind of like this big, wide one here. And I'm gonna do the same thing with the left side. I'm gonna let it play. Okay, not a lot happening. We're gonna keep it short, 2.7 seconds. I like that. I'm gonna do a similar thing. Now, I wish I could copy and paste my effects from clip to clip. That'd be really awesome. I wish that we had that working. It's something for the future because it would save me a lot of time right now. And we've gotten that request from you guys a decent amount. But a similar effect I'll put on that one, export to my camera roll. Now I'm actually gonna go back into my GoPro footage. I'm going to go to a frame in here. Same video we were looking at earlier. And I'm just using the trim bar to scrub, but that's not the main event here. I'm gonna go right to here. Okay, so I'm making this turn down the chute, right? It's an exciting moment, it's the first moment of skiing, but I actually don't want to take a video, I'm gonna take a frame. So a lot of people may have used the frame grab feature. It's a pretty good one for things like this, and it's going to populate frames from my video full resolution. I can tap one, I can select that and save it to GNARBOX. From there, it's actually a pretty quick, let's see, it should be on here. Oh, the date on this GNARBOX is weird, right? Yeah, there it is.
There it is.
Okay, so there's my photo. I'm going to do a couple of things to it real quick, mostly just brighten it. That's good enough.
This is a cool tool as well. Yeah. I mean, like,
and I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna actually put it in my Instagram story. This isn't a photo session, but this is something I do with my videos. Okay, so I'm gonna apply that. Great, this is actually exactly what I want to show. Save that to my camera roll, and I would actually take those two clips and this photo, and I would put them on Instagram story. Now, the one thing that some of you may ask is about cropping. You have a 16:9 video or a 4:3 video, and you want to put it on Instagram story. Well, first of all, pretty cool. They actually just launched a feature where you can pinch on it, and you can post the whole thing. I don't know if you've seen that. It's pretty cool. But there's actually another tool that I use for this sort of stuff. So I'm gonna open that up real quick. This is the LumaFusion app. And the LumaFusion app I just downloaded on this device, is my favorite tool for editing videos for my Instagram stories. The thing that's really cool about it is we can set a 16:9 frame aspect for our project, which is exactly what we want. You can see I have it teed up right there, and I create the project. Will, have you ever done this before?
LumaFusion? Just a little bit.
Yeah, it's a pretty good
I've done this
system.
A lot in Power Director as well on my Android device.
That's cool.
And they have the crop aspect ratios as well. So yeah, LumaFusion's a really powerful app. Jumping just really quick back to while you're working on that, to the frame export, it's a really cool feature. I think that was one of the critical ones out of the gate. You're shooting 4K video. You can get some really powerful frames out of those. So being able to quickly pull images as part of your first pass on all of your videos is just a cool thing. So like two things that we just showed. We showed fine trimming and exporting to your camera roll. And we showed frame grab and exporting to your GNARBOX editing and then exporting to your camera roll. Both like really cool, quick workflows for being able to create awesome stories or a quick text to friends.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got my video into the project, and actually I'm realizing now that I must have my aspect ratio off. Just one moment. Yeah, that's right. 9:16 is what I want. So let's create one more project. I'll clean those up later. Typical. Let's pull this video in here. I'll add that to my timeline, and you'll see now I've got it in my 9:16 crop, and this will actually be pretty quick because a lot of people probably have their own workflows for doing this sort of thing. But I can actually do a lot of cool stuff with my framing. I can set it up as I want to, which is here in this case. I can also do things like a pan left and a pan right, which I think is pretty awesome for Instagram story.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put one of those on there.
If you're trying to step up your game for social media, this is a pretty killer workflow.
Yeah, so that gives you a sense of what you can do. You can export right from there into social media. I would take these two clips, crop them just as I did, maybe put a pan in, and that would be what I posted. So just a little tutorial on tools that I use to make even better videos along with my GNARBOX.
I've watched the stories. They've been getting cooler and cooler. No, this is the tricks of the trade
trying to take the game to the next level with this thing. Okay, so
getting back into our highlight reel, I think, is really where we should be.
The next place.
There's a couple things that it might be good just to continue to rehash. Like when you're let's get into the editing environment, let's do some trimming, and then we actually need to show fine scrubbing. We've been doing really fast scrubbing on small clips. If we could find a big clip, it'd be really cool to just show that experience, because I think it comes up a lot in support. How do you actually, I'm having a hard time trimming. We just had it already from Footy Phil, and like the frame swiping as well as the fine scrubbing are two really good tactics for being able to get precise points.
Yeah, and we'll do them again now.
Let's do them again.
Okay, so
as we build this next highlight reel,
I'm gonna use chunky scrubbing to get myself close first, because we don't want to fine scrub from far, because we only have so far we can go with a fine scrub. All right, so okay, now I've gone a little bit past where I want to go with my endpoint. If I start on this trim bar, and then I drag my finger up onto the screen, I can actually I have my finger on the video frame. I don't know if you can see this.
There you go.
Finger on the video frame.
Yeah.
And I'm just very gently going from side to side. Okay. I want it right there.
So I'm watching Tim. He's grabbed this thing, he's pulled it up, and he's just moving it really slowly. So he's pulled it from the trim bar up onto the screen of the video, and now he's just moving it ever so slightly. And that'll give you those really slow stutters between keyframes there.
You can actually do it in a way where you're almost like rolling your thumb.
Yeah.
Like rolling your thumb.
Myself
so like I can get to right there,
yeah.
Which is where I want to get to. So we're gonna make a highlight reel, and this skiing clip is going to be the centerpiece of the highlight reel. As you guys know, we have a tool called the hit point we'll be using. I'm gonna be using this clip in conjunction with my hit point, as in I'm gonna have the beat of my little mini edit track drop right here when I'm going into the ski line. So we're gonna watch the clip. I'm also gonna actually color correct it while I play it, which is a pretty cool feature. It can make the playback slightly more choppy, but it also is pretty cool to be able to watch your effects as they're happening.
Even Premiere stutters on
so
colors.
It's pretty.
So
you want to know what?
Actually really
it's pretty good for. Yeah. It's pretty good. I'm gonna, let's see. Okay, so I've got the color where I want it here, and I'm gonna let this kind of, maybe, you know what? Sorry, oops, I grabbed that by accident. I've got the color where I want it. I'm gonna add a little bit of punch because it needs a little more contrast. Okay, that's cool. So I like that. I'm going to let the video play, and then I'm gonna grab my out point when I get to it. As I was saying, you can actually swipe down to add a magic marker while the video is playing. So I'm gonna do that in this instance. Just as soon as I exit this. This was our best day of the season so far. So you guys get to, it's been a drought here. So I'll swipe down, magic marker there. Boom. That's my out point. Yeah. So all I'm gonna do now at this point, now that I've got that, is swipe up to add it to my highlight reel. Mm-hmm. Now this is a 32-second clip, so it's gonna actually have to render all of that onto my timeline. That's gonna take a couple of minutes. As you guys can see, there is a generating highlight reel stream task in the task manager, which means that the box is doing its work. I actually don't need to preview that. I just previewed that clip,
Yeah.
so I don't need to see it again. I'm going to move on to my next clips and start building this thing up. So Will, you want to do the next clip? You want to choose one at least?
Yeah, I mean, this was a shared edit, so you might as well. Typically, we have two connected at the same time, which is pretty cool. I'd imagine we're going to climb back up. And this one's already trimmed, so we colored this one already as well.
Yeah, that one's good to go.
All right, well, let's just add that one up. And, you know, when I first started actually, and, well, this is going to be perfect because that's a cool shot. So I'm going to swipe that down. And I'm going to just double tap, re-rack. This is going to be the pan in. I see some propellers on the left.
I was going to say.
So I'm clipping those out. I'm going to keep watching for them. I saw them clip out. I'm going to go back just a little bit, so I'm frame by frame advancing backwards.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty tight. Now, I noticed that we're probably going to double jump in, so that's the next thing. What we're doing is this workflow where we're just kind of assembling on the fly. Notice we're not previewing the full timeline right now. We're just going into our clips, we're adding them to a timeline, we're building that, we're assembling that timeline in some kind of sequential order.
And it's the biggest strength of the GNARBOX, is being able to do this, being able to just throw things into a timeline and then rearrange them. That is what this system is built for.
Yeah, and I'm often taking, you know, I like to make a little stutter jump like between like some of my clips. So if I want to actually make this new endpoint closer to where my new start point is, I'll let it roll to the end. Now I double tap the scissors, and then I'm going to play it again, and I like that next section, so pretty cool pan. So I'm going to drop that as my new endpoint, and now I have some kind of sequence here where there's actually two shots from the same clip on the same timeline, and they're both added on there. They're both color corrected to whatever color correction there was. There was none.
There was none on this one. You might want to fix that and then re-add.
And remember, it was at 25, shadows and blues down.
The midpoint goes up too. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, I'm gonna have to redo that one.
I'm gonna take the old one off.
And so we're learning a lot here. So I added the timeline. I'm gonna grab the old one and I'm gonna drag it off. You can see the delete button comes up on that red bar. If I'm moving to the left or the right, it's gonna move. But if you just drag off the timeline, that's gonna be how you delete it.
Yep.
And so now I do have to delete this old one as well because I screwed up. But I'm gonna go find my propellers again. Cool. Yeah, this is my addition right here.
Yeah. There you go.
All right, so we're back to where we were.
Okay, so should we move those? What do you think, before the skiing and have that be the build-up?
Yeah, I think so. I'd probably do that as well. I like to do big shots moving in. Now we're just talking about presentation of our highlight reels.
Yeah. So
we're halfway through. I'm almost to an Instagram post now. And
that's right.
This is probably the most common use case for me, creating highlight reels.
Definitely. Do we have end cards? Do we have end cards on this GNARBOX?
Oh yeah.
It's not in my favorites, but it should be. But yes, we've got end cards. Okay, so we're gonna use end cards. The last shot's very white. I think it has a nicer fade out when you go from a very white shot to the white end card. So we'll do it that way. If you can figure out how to make your end cards colored with the color correction tools, you win a prize. I don't know what it is, but there's a cool way to do that. If you can figure it out, one of our engineers figured it out. All right, so let's go to our highlight reel. Let's see, just scrubbing through. Everything's looking pretty good. We've got the bulk of it is in this zone with the skiing, which is fine. It's about 42 seconds in length, which is great. Perfect. Close. Short story for the day. And
Instagram level post.
Yeah, so what we're going to do now is we're going to add music. And it's a really important step. Obviously, a lot of people have a lot of different creative styles that they like to bring out with the music tracks that they put onto their reels. You can also use this to, if you want to like sync an off-camera audio file with someone talking, you can do that with the hit point too. I've seen someone do that before. It's not like a primary use case for the box, but any audio file and any video file you can do this with, even single clips. So just add it to your reel and now you got your music workflows available to you there. If I hit the music button, it brings up the hit point tools. Unfortunately, with the iPhone connected to the live, I cannot hear anything.
Yeah.
But we're going to use waveform, and I think it'll turn out pretty good anyway. So that'll be a problem with the next step. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scrub right in here to the transition in scenes where I'm dropping it. I'm going to get the hit point right on that transition. Great. I'm going to press next. I've got my music loaded on here. We talked a little bit about loading music. Will, one more time with the tips on loading music to your GNARBOX.
There's definitely the two fastest ways to do it. If you're comfortable using mass storage mode and it works for you, I would definitely go that route. I would just go into your settings, change USB 3 mode to mass storage mode, plug it into your computer, drag and drop, you're good to go. Eject your GNARBOX, and then just flip it back over to USB 3 mode and you have music. The second way, SD cards, USB sticks, and hard drives. If you have music on them or you want to drop music on them, plug those in. I know that I've just dragged them onto an SD card very quickly because I just like passing around SD cards. And I always have one in my computer or a GNARBOX right here. So.
Yep, absolutely. And one new way, if you have iOS, is to pull off the cloud using the Files app. So that workflow is not as well worn of a path, but it will come through in a pinch. I always have a folder of music on Google Drive, so you can do that.
Yeah, best practices are to load a bunch of music on your GNARBOX right when you get it.
Definitely.
I'll put 4 or 5 albums of music that I like to put on my different edits, and that's usually been the go-to. Is you get it on there once, you have a lot to choose from, so that when you're in this stage, you're not wishing you
had that one song. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we've got the waveform for our entire track on here, and this shows us where the music is most intense, where the sound is doing certain things. And it's a really useful tool in setting a hit point for us to have an exciting moment paired with the music all coming together. And it can make even a simple video look very nice, even if you didn't put a ton of time into making it, which is kind of what this editor is all about. It's not necessarily spending all the time to match up all of the in and the out points, but more just picking one and making a nice post out of that. So I've got my waveform lined up. I'm pretty sure I know where this is in the song. I'm pretty sure for you guys, if I wanted to play that, you can hear it now, I think. I don't know. No one can hear it. But you can see these little fluctuations in the waveform. It's kind of building up. And then there's a pretty, there's a nice beat drop there. So I'm going to put the hit point right on it. Super simple. I'm going to press done. And the outcome is this. I get my music track synced. It's going to load the waveform in. The hit point is on that edge of the scene, and I can actually audition the highlight reel. I really wish we had audio for this because it makes it so much more exciting. But here's the beat drop now, and we're skiing and
perfect. Yeah. I mean, I could tell.
Yeah. I know that this is a cool edit. I'll have to listen to it later.
Yeah.
I mean, now the last step's the export, right? Yeah. We got to cover the export.
Yeah.
We have to change our bitrate though. Or do you have something before?
No, I would change your bitrate. Yeah. I think this is now a bigger video. I'm thinking I'm gonna post it for Instagram, so I definitely would. I definitely would change this above 10. 10 was great for the Instagram stories where they really need a small thing. I would go 30 or even 45, just depending on what you're
skimp?
do with it.
Let's go 45.
Don't skimp.
Yeah.
Might as well go 45. I don't think Instagram's compressing as much. It's under a minute. I mean, it's not like we're going too far over. If you're having issues, if you're getting blockiness or getting weird compression on Facebook, this will happen if you upload anything mobily. Make sure you're on Wi-Fi. And if your video is more than 2 or 3 minutes, I actually won't post it mobily. To Facebook, that is. I'll save it. So we're in this export screen. I'll save it 1080 to the GNARBOX. And then later, I'll actually mass storage mode drop it on my Facebook wall. If you're really trying to do quality, great for then doing Vimeo, YouTube, just at the highest quality for upload. And that's nothing to do with us. That's entirely just the mobile environment for native uploading to those applications. So if you shot that video on your phone, the same thing would be happening. If you're getting a little chunkiness, they'll down-res your stuff.
Yeah, don't let them do it. Yeah. Save it on your box, post it later.
Yeah, exactly.
Or post it on Instagram where it's confined.
On that export, 1080p, we're at a 45 megabit per second bit rate.
Camera roll.
And we're gonna do a camera roll export. Now this is really important. When it's exporting to your phone, stay connected to the GNARBOX. It's going to go through 2 steps.
Yep.
The first one is it's actually going to render, generate, and prepare that highlight reel for export. So it's combining the sources of the clips. They're being put into a new video file with the audio where it's auditioned. It's assembling that video. And then once it's prepared and it's generated, it's then going to push that to your phone. So that's the second step where it says don't disconnect your phone. It's super important. So I'll keep my phone open. This is one of the only times where I don't feel comfortable bouncing outside of the application.
Yep, and a few things to know about exporting versus leaving your highlight reel unexported. The highlight reel will always save, so it's maintained on the GNARBOX in the database. We have the information to regenerate it if anything goes wrong, so you don't have to worry about that. Right now, you can't go back and forth retrimming clips, which is one of the bigger limitations of the system. We're working on an answer to that in the long run, so stay tuned for more information on that. And I'm about to show you a separate option that eliminates both of those things entirely.
Yeah.
Also, in terms of highlight reel length, this is definitely designed for short videos. The file system on the box is FAT32, so you can't make anything over 4 gigabytes. That's a really large video.
It's a big video.
So, you know, if you're making, you know, like trying to make a documentary, something, or like a long vlog, like might not be the right tool for you.
Yeah.
So this is really for shorter
We've
edits.
gotten that, especially in the early days, people pushing it to the limits. I push it to the limits. I try to do 10 minutes. That, you know, you put bitrate configurations in there. You can downsize it. That's your only option once you start going over certain minute points. And all of that information, actually, for bitrate configurations and times, and if you are trying to make long videos, because go ahead if that's what you want. It's on help.gnarbox.com. There's a great article. It covers everything you need to know about bitrate, shooting and editing and exporting long videos.
Absolutely. Okay, so our exporting step is almost done. I can tell because it's almost at 100%, which means that it's adding the music track now. It's gonna just stay there for just a moment as it adds the music track, and then it will start transferring over to my camera roll. Once it's on my camera roll, we're going to attempt to disconnect the phone and play it with audio. I think we might be able to do that. So
yeah, I think we're cool with that.
Yeah, we're gonna give that a try. I think that now might be a good time for any questions or anything that we missed in that section.
You know,
did we hit all our notes?
Yeah, we hit all of our notes. I would say one thing to potentially bring up is actually regenerating a video or highlight reel. Also, if you're just having any issues with your highlight reel, any tips or tricks that you might have, say it's not playing back or it's giving you an error or failure. I've seen that happen to me.
It can happen. The first thing I do if I have a problem with my highlight reel is I regenerate it. And the way that you can do that, I'll show you how to do that right now. If you go into the reel and you hold down on the frame, you'll get that pop-up. I'm not going to regenerate it. I don't need to regenerate it right now. But I could, and it would go ahead and it would wipe out the clips, take the database entry that has the in and the out position for the clips, and then it would go out and re-render the components of the highlight reel, and you'd be able to start over again. So that's one trick. Another trick that you can try, and this happens sometimes if you add a new clip to the reel and then it stops working, is just removing that clip and then adding it again.
Sometimes if you move a clip around, you can try and find which clip it is too, because it'll tell you which clip it's trying to generate, so you can see which one it fails on. That's one troubleshooting trick that I've used. You know, I don't experience this a whole lot. It happened earlier on in some of the earlier versions of GNARBOX right out of the gate. So I experienced it from day one, and actually beta before that. So I remember some nightmare moments in the early days, but for the most part, I don't experience very many failures on highlight reels, long highlight reels even. I shoot Sony a7S II 4K XAVC HD video and at 100 megabytes per second, and I've got no problem with it on here. Sometimes the super slow-mo stuff can be a little long because it drags it all out, but not 4K video. But yeah, I think, you know, the one question mark you have is definitely the transcoding when you have those bigger files, and the transcoding, like Tim said, the best thing to do is to copy what you need, eject your card so that it doesn't transcode things in the background, and focus on the videos you want. Go into the videos, play them, and you can see the bar along the bottom of any video file that you select. These are going to be green, but if we actually go ahead and just like regenerate that from the beginning, so you can regenerate any video file. This is how it starts, just a thumbnail, then it auditions it, and now you can see that it's gray. What we're doing, the green bar is creeping up, that's it actually transcoding. So when you first load, that's what it's going to look like. Regenerating, that's what it's going to look like. And I'll go and this is the video I want to watch. I'll go and select that video and play it. That's us prioritizing the video you're watching and where you're scrubbing and moving to in that video. The transcoding of that position is taking #1 priority over any other task on the GNARBOX.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a good example because this shows you what it's like if you do click on a video that's not yet transcoded.
Good question, Quinn Brown. Do you plan to support a more streamlined workflow to round trip to something like LumaFusion instead of having to export all the clips you need?
Yes, but we're going to leave it at that. But there's yeah, I think you'll be happy with some things that are coming soon.
Yeah, I think for now, like LumaFusion Workflow is something that we have people using.
Yeah.
We call it LumaFusion Workflow, which really is the first workflow we showed, which is trimming, and then exporting just those clips, saving those selected, sometimes even colored clips to your camera roll, and then adding all of them into a project in LumaFusion. That's where you're going to be able to use multiple channels for audio, effects, transitions, the things that you're typically seeing in
keyframing. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, there's some incredible set of tools for mobile editors on iOS and iPad. The iPad app is amazing. But definitely, if you're looking for building out bigger videos, if you're trying to edit like you would on a desktop, that's the place I would go, is trimming, exporting, and then using an app like LumaFusion or iMovie to do that. I really like the LumaFusion app the best. If you have it, you probably feel the same way. You probably got it for a reason. It's awesome. But the GNARBOX app, definitely best for the shorter clips. I've had people ask me, hey, what'd you do today? And be like, hey, give me 5 minutes, and just edited something and then like texted it to them. So it's something where it's built for quick, fast, sequential edits, taking your clips from the day, quickly adding them to the highlight reel, doing some color correction along the way, adding music. So.
Okay, yeah, so someone said, okay, you need to use your GNARBOX more. I agree. Can you tell us in the comments what would make you use your GNARBOX more? I'd be interested to hear that. We have another comment about a question about
clip load.
Preview doesn't load quickly. So my guess is that the box hasn't had a chance to transcode the video yet, and you're clicking through clips and it's trying to follow you and transcode along. But there are certain ways to do that in which the results aren't that fluid or fast. That's my guess as to what's happening for you, Phil. What I would definitely recommend, I see you posted something else, but for the first question, what I would definitely recommend is after importing, giving the box some time to transcode your videos if you can. Mm-hmm. I usually wait about a minute for every minute of video that I shot.
Yeah.
And that's just a rule of thumb. And I show up to rendered video.
So a couple things, higher frame rates. He's asking about clips and different formats that we can shoot, either DSLR or GoPro, that we recommend. There's actually a list of recommended footage for GoPro, I would say, depending on your model, right? So the earlier GoPros, they don't create the proxies at all of the frame rates and resolutions.
Hero 5 is the sweet spot.
But the Hero 5 is definitely the best performing, the 6 as well. The best performing.
The 6 doesn't have proxies for all of the H.265 videos. So we have to render H.265. It's a little slower.
But we do it. So if you're shooting 4K 60 on the Hero 6, but the Hero 5, just about every single setting that you use is going to be super fast with GNARBOX. If you're on a DSLR, I recommend shooting 24, 30 frames per second. If it's a really big bit rate, it's really the bit rate that'll slow things down, but also the frame rate. So I find the bigger frame rate, the 120 FPS videos are going to be a little bit slower. Yes. They're going to transcode a little bit slower. And then raw audio is something that we didn't bring up. If you see a banner that pops up, it says raw audio. It's a little harder for us to audition because it's not on any of the cameras we have today.
It's on my RX 100.
So the RX 100 is one of them.
Yeah.
The only thing that means you could click away, the reason it's gray, it's not going to be a problem. It just means that things are going to be a little slower in transcoding. So that's a camera issue more than anything. Maybe your file type as well, but it just depending on the recording settings, there's no way around it.
At the end of the day, the more work we have to do to make the file compatible with your phone, the longer it's going to take to preview. So certain cameras that shoot with different types of audio and that require pre-processing all these things, it slows it down a little bit. So the things that Will just mentioned are really good tips and tricks to keep in mind. You'll find that 4K 30 videos are faster than 1080 120 videos.
Yeah.
I always found that fascinating. But the frame rate really does matter at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's a big effect, and that is that miscompatibility with your phone. Phones are getting better, which is awesome. It makes it easier. There's less work for us to do to actually generate those proxies.
Okay, so Quinn asked about LUTs. Do you plan to support LUTs in the app eventually? Yes, LUTs are definitely on the wish list, and they're within our technical sweet spot for sure. We've got some developers who are eager to build that feature, so it will come at some point. I can't promise a date though. We have another cool one. Can I get delivery?
Showed up any new features? There's a delivery question
B&H.
as well.
Overseas, if you can't buy off our website, B&H Photo Video is your friend.
Yeah, I would take a look there. We're based here in California, so is our warehouse, and we ship mostly here. But if you can't get it from our website, check out B&H, check out Amazon. Great places to check. Adorama as well.
Okay, so we've got a question about getting any new features anytime soon. Well,
yeah.
1.7.0, I guess this is the point where we announce it.
Exactly.
1.7.0 is now live in the App Store. So you get new features today, which is a huge performance boost to both platforms. The question below it about Android in comparison to iOS, this is resolving the biggest difference between Android and iOS, which is performance in navigating files, both of which have been dramatically sped up. The indexing of your cards dramatically sped up. So you're getting new features today. There's going to be another release in the next few weeks as well with more features. And then there's another release a few weeks after that with even more features. So yes, you're going to be getting some new stuff.
I'd say a lot of features in this month of March will finally be hitting the market. We're really excited for that. Closing the gap a little bit as we start development on 2.0. and continuing the work that's being done there.
So what? Let's directly address the Android question. Android, Android devices don't allow us to connect over USB. That's because of the MTP protocol. So that's one thing. iOS, actually, it's been broken on iOS 11, so it's not that big of a difference right now. But eventually, it'll be fixed on iOS, and it'll be something that Android doesn't have. Two is Android devices don't allow you to simultaneously connect to 4G and Wi-Fi. It's just an Android hardware or operating system rule. We're not sure. iPhones do. So with an iPhone, you can download your updates over cellular data, which is often really convenient. On Android, you cannot do that. So that's another big difference. For photo editors, feature number 3 is a pinch to zoom. We actually have been working on the side on an Android pinch to zoom for quite some time. But it's been very hard to implement it in a way that doesn't have any sort of edginess or bugs to it, so we haven't shipped it yet. But Android does not have pinch to zoom on photos. You actually have to import the photo to do that, which is I think that's the biggest one.
Yeah, I mean that's really it, is the pinch to zoom. If you're looking at photos and you're trying to preview your focus, like it's natural for you to want to zoom in. That's the biggest roadblock I've experienced as an Android user. This 1.70 update really closes the gap for Android, I think, in terms of performance in the video experience as well as navigation, and improves navigation and indexing for all platforms. So they both got a bump, but Android got a bigger bump because it was a little further behind before.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'd check that out. It's available now. I would check. I haven't even had a chance. It happened right before we got into this video. I haven't had a chance to check my Android phone. I think it's probably going to be there though when I get out of this. So I'm excited to have it.
I got to download that update.
Yeah. So go ahead.
There's a firmware update too, so make sure you get the app and the firmware, by the way, just so.
Yeah, if you have more feedback for us, if you have more questions, head to support. There's a list of resolutions and file types that we work with and don't work with that are unsupported. You can find that also on help.gnarbox.com, 2.0 V2. There will be more resolutions and file types that we'll continue to support down the road, whether they're in 1.0 or 2.0. Yeah, I mean, this works with a plethora of cameras. Like, we designed this for your GoPro and Mavics and kind of the quick and nimble video cameras that you take out there, but XAVCS footage, if you're shooting MP4, H.264, it's pretty much like the rule of thumb, it's going to work. Yeah. ProRes does not, and AVC HD. So those are two of the biggest, most requested ones. A lot of the Cine DNG, MXF, AVI, those are things that do not work. So if you're shooting on Cine cams, this isn't really designed for you to do anything other than backup, previewing, editing. You probably wouldn't want to do that in this mobile environment anyways, if you're shooting with such a big cam, though.
So we got the 2.0 question, right? And we just listed out all of these pro codecs that don't currently work.
Good question.
So we're going to do our 2.0 fact of the day, which is that all of the things that we just listed as unsupported on 1.0 are on the target list for 2.0. That doesn't mean we're going to get all of them for sure, but they're all on the target list and we are looking pretty good. So OS 2.0 coming in the future, more file type support for more cameras.
Yeah, we've been transcoding and timing and testing with the files you have been sending us. So send them to us, please.
Yeah, send us more.
We need a bigger test bank. We've gone to camera shops and recorded on the cameras we can't afford, that we don't have friends with, kind of things. We've asked friends to send us videos, but please send them to us. I know we posted in Insiders and had a few hits as well. Join Facebook Insiders if you haven't yet. That's where you're going to get all of the information you need about 2.0 and upcoming updates. We actually drop pre-releases there. So the features that are coming out this month, that's where you can see them first. You could get a little sneak peek of what's to come. You could also check out the roadmap. It's flexible, it's always moving, but we update that a little bit ahead of time once we know what's coming in the pipeline next, right? It's always a question of next because we have multiple teams working on multiple things, and sometimes we hit a roadblock with one, or one moves faster than the other, and just how it goes.
Yeah, and so Quinn's asking if they're going to see video retiming. If you go to the roadmap, you'll be happy to see that as lined up for the near future. So yeah, the answer is yes.
Yeah, that's been one of the most requested items for video editing, and something that we had early on and like had focused on and even like tested with, but we need to really work on that in the back end. And there's a lot that goes into it when it comes to slow motion and retiming of your videos. That time remapping experience isn't a light one, but we definitely have it on our radar. So.
Yeah, and we're excited about it too.
Cool.
All right, are we? We're about at the end of the
that's it.
Here.
Any more questions before we sign off? We'll kind of linger here. I'll generally just say thank you again for joining. We will be reviewing the comments on this after. Yeah, no problem. We'll answer those questions
anytime. Quinn, yeah.
That's what we're here for. This is our last session on this product for this. We've covered in the last two. Just kind of general know-how and knowledge when you first get going with your GNARBOX. The second one that we covered was a deep dive on photography, the tools, and the different workflows. This one, hopefully, everyone learned a lot about the video. This is really the bread and butter of GNARBOX, why we created it. For making it a lot easier for anybody who's shooting video to be able to edit video, to be able to share video, and do all of that while you're in the field. You don't have a computer with you, you don't have access to direct power, you have something that can charge off USB, that fits in your bag, in your pocket, it's rugged, it's durable. This is what GNARBOX was made for. This is the bread and butter. It's an experience we're going to continue to build on and evolve, whether it's through codecs or new features to the editing experience or integrations with other video editors. Those are all things that we're going to continue to work on. How about a quick view of 2.0? Do you know?
Can't do that.
Download 1.7. All right, cool. So 1.7 is live on Android. That has been confirmed.
Yeah.
Cool. I think that about does it. We don't have any more questions. If you don't have a GNARBOX, check it out. Join Insiders. Talk to someone that does. Ask them about it. Come chat with us. We're on live chat on our website, GNARBOX.com. You can chat with any of us. We'll answer your questions. We can test your videos.
Yeah.
And we can give you tips. Thanks again for joining, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.